Welcome, Cyberpower. Cyberpower is now live with very young and the advocacy of the Ethiopian Tigrayan Community Center from here, United States of America. His name is Chernet Harifo. Chernet Harifo is a political science student here in the United States of America. He will be with Cyberpower of Tigray today. And before we start, Cherenet will introduce himself with my audiences of Cyberpower of Tigray. Welcome, Cherenet, to Cyberpower of Tigray.
Thank you so much, Ephrem. Thank you so much for inviting me to your live show. My name is Chernet Arifo, as you have seen me on Facebook. I am a very passionate uh, person. I think I grew up in an area where it's war devastated, and coming to America, I realized that every single human being on this earth's lives matter. Uh, Growing up, I grew up in an area where young people really were always told that you can't do this and that. Um, I came across different paths while looking where I should be and what I should do in life. And I decided to study more into politics and explore more career path. And while I'm doing that, I think I realized there's so much people out there suffering and they need voice. As for now, Ethiopia has been well known in its fastest growing economy in the last 10 decades. But what it has done right now is actually going to demolish the entire uh, economy system. And I am very, very passionate about talking all this stuff. I will take you through some information with my friend Mesfin. Uh, so we will go through all this, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity, Ephraim. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Great to have you. So I know you've been involved with Ethiopian politics recently, and you have been very emotional about what's going on in Tigray area. So tell me about the government of Abiy Ahmed and the conflict status with Tigray regional administration.
As far as I can recall, back in May, I think there was an election that took place, um, and the Tigray people decided to demonstrate or exercise their freedom to vote, which I think the Ethiopian government is trying to suppress that right. It's trying to take away the right of the Tigray people to vote, which it is even unconstitutional for Dr. Abiy Ahmed to break these laws and uh, throw the Tigray leaders to the curb and uh, trying to control the state generally. And this kind of power has happened, as you may be aware, back in during Hitler time, as you may remember. Uh, they started with this single campaign of making a particular country great, and it ended up being a devastating point of time.
Right. Yes. So the Ethiopian people, as you know, this is kind of surprising after uh, the Derg administration to happen this kind of a military invasion in one state. So the people of Tigray, do you recall that the people of Tigray had an elected president?
Yes, they did. Debretsion is the elected president of the state of uh, Tigray, and Dr. Abiy is trying to use his federal power to appoint a president for the people of Tigray, which the people of Tigray wants their own elected leaders. And what he's trying to do is trying to dictate the state of Tigray generally. That is my understanding about what has been happening.
Right. So so after that, the war happened. We do recall that, and then uh, how many states and or how many governments has been trying to? I mean, the war already started like 3 weeks ago, and then the Tigray government has been complaining that the war was involved with in Eritrean Eritrean government and other neighboring countries. So, do you think this is a legitimate complaint by Tigray government?
I wouldn't say that because the Tigray people, I think, were just trying to exercise their freedom to vote, their right to vote. So the Eritrean government, I don't know what, I think it's a foreign country. It should not be involved in an internal conflict. But this is actually breaking the international rule according to the United Nations agreement, which every state signed. And they're breaking these promises. As you know, Eritrea is a well devastated country throughout its history. The people are oppressed. There's no freedom of expression. There's no freedom of speech, and this kind of things has really been happening. And I don't know how Abiy, who Ethiopian people counted on him as a transformer, the country turned into a fascist and trying to oppress his own citizen using foreign influences and foreign powers. As you may be aware, he went ahead and asked for military support from Sudan, I think, which Sudan rejected his petition. And there's also other reports that came out that Dr. Abiy used United Arab drones to attack Tigray ethnic. And you know, when we talk about Tigray people, we are not talking about fighting a foreign country. It's our citizen, it's our people that are in Ethiopia, and we should protect them. Every citizen in Ethiopia needs protection from foreign influence. But the government is doing the opposite by using foreign influences such as Eritrea, Sudan, and actually nowadays I have heard a report that says Somalia was also involved into this conflict, which I think to me this is breaking so much law, and this is actually against the international law as far as ICC. It's a criminal case and should be really taken serious.
Excuse me.
That's good.
Wait. Yeah. Yes, you did explain that exactly right. According the international rule of law. You know. But okay. After the war, we have seen a displacement. Tigrayan people has been displaced. There is a lot of killings. There are people went to Sudan,
Mhm,
running away from the government of Abiy Ahmed.
mhm,
And also, there are some evidences that we have heard directly from the Sudan UNHCR uh, uh, journalists that they ask the Tigrayan uh, citizens that they have noticed or witnessed there is a lot of massacre,
mhm.
uh, ethnicity cleansings. Have you noticed this? And do you think this is going to be? And Abiy has been saying that there is no any children migrated to Sudan, no woman migrated to Sudan. Do you think this prime minister is telling the truth to the world?
Well, I would not really receive information from him as he's suppressing all the medias in Ethiopia. The medias have no freedom to say anything at this moment. But I have been part of the UNHCR for a long time. I know their reports are very accurate, and their reports states that 41% are children. 41% of the 0 to 17 years old. Those are children. They deserve the basic needs. They deserve to be in school than to flee for life in search for safety. I think receiving more reports from Ethiopia right now, it will not be a legitimate information and an accurate information. So I would not rely on that.
Great. Yes. So Uh, well, do you think they will going are they going to be safe if they are coming back to where they to Tigray? Do you think that area is safe? What do you think about the Tigrayan citizens? Is it okay for them to remain where they are at now, or is it better to go back to Tigray at this time?
Well,
Under
as the Ethiopian government has been claiming they have taken over Mekelle and everything is fine, and they are, and the communication, as you are aware, is cut off until now. There's no information that we will be able to know whether it is safe for the refugees to go back or not. And not only that, even the refugees that are leaving the country are talking about the situation different than what the government is actually claiming. And those are the people who are fleeing for safety. As you know, Sudan is a very devastated country. It should not have that. It's asking for more international assistance to assist to more than 45,000 Ethiopian refugees. Um, I don't think it is really safe for those refugees to go back at this time. And not only the Ethiopian refugees, also the Eritrean refugees who are in the camp in Tigray region are also in danger of being abducted by the lifetime dictator Isaias Afewerki. So this is not safe for them to go back right now.
Great. Thank you. Also, at the same time, I was going to ask you one question. Uh, there are a concert. You said that you have been working with UNHCR.
Mhm,
There is a concern. There is a multiple soldiers are already invading Tigray. There are a lot of soldiers in Tigray from
mhm,
Eritrea, from Ethiopia, and the Amhara militias.
mhm,
Those soldiers are not using the bathroom appropriately. They
mhm,
are eating all over. They are using bathrooms all over,
mhm.
and there are a concern that there's going to be a communicable disease will happen in Tigray people. What would you
I would
suggest?
say, mhm. I would say, I think in order to protect the citizens of Tigray, this war has to end right now, and they should bring dialogue to the table right now, because it is not just going to affect. Just imagine about those who are not even able to leave. There are reports which came up that the Ethiopian military is holding them from fleeing to nearest country, Sudan. So this war has to end right now. It has to end right now to save more lives. And we don't even know how many people have died right now. We just don't know any information because there's no phone connection, there's no internet, there's no international media is allowed to investigate thoroughly this situation. And every claim that is coming out is from the government, well supported and regulated by the government, which doesn't have the freedom to share anything against the government, but with the government.
Great. Yes. I've noticed that there is no any connections. We don't know what's going on. There is a lot of people who live as American citizens. They couldn't able to reach their family member. We couldn't able to call them. We don't know what's going on, and there is a lot of crimes. The war crimes are going on, and there is no transparency from the Ethiopian government. So the war needs to be ended, and the government, the Tigray government, needs to go back and govern their own citizens. Um, as you say, you are the advocacy of your own people, and you are a political science student.
Mm.
And there are a lot of young Tigrayans in the United States of America and as well as other countries as a diaspora community.
Yeah. Mhm.
What is your message for those young Tagaru that they need to be how to organize and what needs to be done at this time?
I would say that it is time to stand up and speak for the country that we all love, and we all want unity and peace and stability for every Ethiopian citizen. And as you may be aware, the government has refused all calls to stop and cease this fire, but has been using some types of propaganda to accuse Tigray leaders and and other leaders who are involved in bringing peace in Ethiopia. And he has arrested, as you may know, so many political leaders, including the Oromo region leaders. Some came from America to be involved into Ethiopian politics. They are all in jail right now. That is not a country that we know. It's not a democracy. So I would argue all the Tigrans, Tagaris, whatever you are, stand, go speak to your legislators, your senators, your Congress, and pressure this government, or even freeze the funding until they cease this fire, because they are using the money that the government, international government, is funding to wage a war against their own citizens. This is breaking law, such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which all citizens have the right to life, which they are being denied right now. So I would ask all Tigrans, from wherever you are, stand together, write letters to your congressmen, senators, your state leaders, and United Nations, urge them, plead them to cease this fire and ask the Ethiopian government to bring dialogue to the table. That is the only way to solve this situation right now. And action is needed right now, because every day life is being lost. Every life is precious. And we have to save lives. In order to do that, we have to fight. We have to keep pressuring our governments, our leaders that we are voting for, and make sure that this government is stopped from violating international law.
Right. And also there are people, community organizers, community leaders, not only the young people. At the same time, what would you recommend, and what do they need to do? I know it's going to be the same message, but if you have some kind of message, I will at the same time ask you about that too.
I have seen a lot of Tagaros across the United States demonstrating, moving around, protesting, and calling on their leaders. At this time, due to the connection, some of the people have not heard from their families. They have not heard from their families. They're worried about how their families are doing. They don't know whether they are alive or dead. So all these things are concerning. So all Tagaros in the United States and across the globe need to stand together and form a group that is going to pressure your leaders to take action against these people. And especially our Tagaro leaders, our team, our group from every part of this country and across the globe, come together, form an organization, and make sure you reach out to your to the country you reside in, and make sure they take action about this issue. That's what I would say to all of them. And the only way is writing letters, calling, visiting offices, and asking for appointment, and urging for an urgent intervention into this matter.
Great. Okay. As you know, the humanitarian activity is deteriorating in humanitarian situation in Ethiopia. Extremely concerning.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. You are concerned, and the Prime Minister is not. He's on denial. He's not telling the truth. And as you know, the solution is we need to stop the war immediately. And there are that I heard the UN congressman will have a meeting a couple days on December 3rd. So what do you recommend for young people to do today and tomorrow before the American senators meeting, hearing meeting? They will have hearing meeting, I've heard.
Yeah.
So what's
the hearing meeting? Yeah.
yeah.
I will say that we should not believe any information that is coming out of Ethiopia. We should not believe any information. Any information that will be coming out of there will be either propaganda or false allegations and false narratives trying to shove down the throats of Ethiopians. And I'm very shocked that most Ethiopians are standing with a government that is very oppressive. They forget the fact that at some point they might be their cause. So I think this is not only a matter of Tigrayans, it's a matter of all Ethiopians in general. And young people are the voice of the world. We are the voice. And we have to take action. We just don't have to ignore these thousands of people might have been dying right now. We just don't have the information, and young people have the voice. We have to take action. Actually, I will be at the meeting and I will be able to speak. I will be at the hearing and I will be able to speak about the same thing, that we need action and an immediate ceasefire and an immediate dialogue from both sides to make sure the citizens do not suffer the consequences of people sitting in Betamangist, the state house, and waging war against poor citizens who are surviving for their daily life. That is what we should stop, and it should stop now.
Exactly. So I have realized that there is alternate factors and total denial of the truth in the Trump administration, especially at the beginning from Pompeo, the Secretary of State. Um, so as you know, as he confirmed that further military action is not solution to this conflict, and I urge the United States to continue to press Prime Minister Abiy to participate in ongoing negotiation efforts led by the African Union. We must work with regional partners, and they have to work with the regional partners and to protect the civilians and upon to open up access to humanitarian organizations without immediate de-escalation.
Yeah.
The livelihood people will be further jeopardized for sure if the conflict is continued.
Mm.
So, is it how could we convince the Trump, especially the Trump administration, that the Abiy administration is a liar? He's a phony. He's a pathological liar. As you can say that he's not telling us the truth. So they need evidence. They need to convince. We need to convince them. So, what do your message? Uh, how could we convince the Trump administration that Abiy administration is not telling the truth for the entire world?
Well, I totally understand that, and they should be aware. What happened over the couple of months in the region and in Ethiopia is very devastating for everyone. And lack of information is also a problem to convince Western countries as well, as you may be aware. Uh, Abiy, I think, has tried to hide the lives, the suffering of so many Tigrayans and some in Ethiopians by cutting off internet in that region, which he has done it back in May too. I think he did it back in May when during the Oromo protest, which he silenced the entire Oromo population by shutting down the internet and phone connection. So I think the same thing. The Western countries, they don't know what to believe right now. As there's a war, but they don't really know what to believe right now because lack of information is a problem right now. We need more information, and that can only happen if we pressure the Congress, the senators, to make sure they allow the international medias, or actually freezing the funds from Ethiopia will help. The only thing we will be able to convince the Congress about is the fact that the media should be involved, because the Abiy Ahmed has closed the media. That's the only part we can, and then from there on, we can be able to justify our facts and our information by the information that comes up. I'm pretty sure when the internet and the phone call opens up, definitely there will be a more information coming out, and we can be able to um, go further ahead.
Great. So, according to humanitarian sources, scores of people have been killed or injured from the bombing actually in the Mekelle University. That's amazing. Abiy Ahmed said all the targets has been signed by him, and he did not kill even a single civilian during this 3 weeks war. But we have witnessed people from Mekelle University has been injured, churches has been hit, has been targeted, people around Adigrat has been killed and injured by Air Force, by Ethiopian Air Force, and by um, as a bombarding weapons.
Yeah.
So, and they estimate more than 45,000 refugees have fled to neighboring Sudan, including an estimated of more than 12,000 children, American Tigrayanis. We have witnessed this. So, do you think uh, a video presentation will be one thing as a convincing thing that we should use for the December 3rd, uh, for the December 3rd hearing meeting?
Yes, I would suggest that. And we need to get more information, I think, by calling and getting more information from different people and bringing together their concerns and make a very good, as you say, the video will be very helpful in terms of convincing these leaders to take action. And when we talk action, we're not just asking a letter for plea, we are asking an urgent action to cease fire. I mean, there should be something to be withheld in order to stop this violence. As you may be aware, the United Nations, Human Rights Watch, they have all reached out to the Ethiopian government, and the government has not been able to stop this violence, but has been covering it up and downplaying the violence and calling it law enforcement. So we should really find a way of dealing with this. As you just brought up, for example, let us all come together, make a video, share our concerns. The fact I have been traveling and talking to different congressmen and women, senators, I have a phone call with the senator of Pennsylvania tomorrow. And these are the information, reaching out to them and really calling them and urging them that there's so much serious crime going on. And, you know, United States, our tradition and our culture has always been uh, an example for the rest of the world, you know, showing an example what freedom really looks like. So this is what we are about, and we should really make sure that this government either step down or bring dialogue to the table and make sure the situation is solved peacefully, and dialogue is the only way to do that.
Great. I will highly recommend it. The PowerPoint video presentation will be one thing that we should do on top of the tactics and calling and being participating in that meeting. Okay, so I've asked you multiple questions, and they have answered a very critical issue at this time as your young age. I do appreciate that. Maybe we have a lot of things to talk about. Something that I did not mention.
Mhm.
Do you have something that you would like to say for for the American government, for Tigrayanis, young Tigrayanis, for Tigray people, and the Tigray defense forces? I'll ask you one thing first. What would you say for Tigray defense forces at this time?
I would say that if an enemy comes to attack, I think you have to respond. That is how I would say, and that's how the international system works. If an enemy comes from outside to attack you, you respond. Due to the information that has been going on, as you have been aware, the issues such as saying the Tigray, sent a rocket to Eritrea and bombed those areas. Why would we focus on that? Why can we focus on the issues such as Eritrea? Why is it involved in Ethiopia's internal conflict? Why should we not focus on that? And I would say to our Tagaro fighters that they should keep fighting for their freedom's right. That's what our forefathers did to set us free from the Derg time and Dirk's regime. That's what they did, and we should continue the same. And I'm pretty sure Tigray has always prevailed. That is a history. History can tell. And this is 2020. It's the 21st century. History can tell again. I think it will repeat itself again. It looks like, actually, when you look at what has been happening, it looks like it's the same thing that happened like maybe 25 or 30 years ago is still happening today. After every few years, it's happening again and again. So I would tell them to keep fighting and keep standing together. And the ones that are in America and across the globe, support your community, stand with your leaders, and try to find a solution for your own community. And I think it's time for all Tigrays to come together and condemn, as well as Eritrean. They should condemn their leadership for allowing their young soldiers to go die in an ending war. So every generation, they keep starting this. Those people are just staying at their homes and in their comfort zone and sending our young people to die in the field. There's a difference between freedom fighters and just fighting for leisure. And what Eritrea is doing is actually fighting for leisure, trying to revenge on the Tigray people. That looks like the Ethiopian government, the Eritrean government. And the Ethiopian government, I have heard what the prime minister have said just yesterday. It looks like he has been blaming everything on Tigray. Actually, he used to say TPLF a lot, but what he just said yesterday was all about Tigray. This tells us something. This is a target on Tigray people. And the propaganda of saying we are using our law enforcement operation, that is a total lie, and they should not be tolerated, such lies. They use so much tactics right now, propagandas they have spread across the entire Ethiopia. Right now, all my friends who are in Ethiopia believe in one thing, which is saying Abiy is trying to improve the country. They forget and they ignore the fact that thousands and thousands might have been dying right now in Tigray region. Cutting off internet is the only way to cover up this mess. So this is an attack that has been sent specifically on Tigray people. Put aside the TPLF, which is we the people. The TPLF is we the people. So you cannot be able to differentiate between TPLF and the Tigray people, because the TPLF represent Tigray people. That is the end of it. So you cannot be able to click or calling it whatever the name you want to call. No, this is Tigray's People's Liberation Front. So it doesn't have other definition. So TPLF stands for the Tigray people. If you deny that, then you are the enemy of the Tigray people. That's it. That's what I would say. And this propaganda has really spread so much, Ephrem, as you are aware. It has really spread so much across Ethiopia, calling it law enforcement, which, by the way, every other country in the world love the word law enforcement. So this is a way to convince the citizen. This is an agenda, or it's a mechanism to convince his audience, such as different ethnic group that really stand with him so much. So he is kind of stranded between the prime minister is kind of stranded between those things, and there's no way he can pull out of this mess he just created right now, because he started a war against each other, as he was calling yesterday. That's actually more raising ethnic violence in Ethiopia, as he has been calling some particular ethnic group, naming them and saying, why are Tigray just in all the government parts and everything? He has been just inciting so more violence, and I just pray that it will not happen. But I think there's so much anger that is being raised in every Ethiopians right now about some particular thing, and they are actually demonizing Tigray people. It's no longer even a TPLF, the party. They are actually demonizing the Tigray people. They're calling on people right now. You might have heard what he said yesterday. It was really devastating thing to say to people, to his citizen. That is not a message of unity. It's a message of division and should stop. It's a message of division, and that will destroy the entire country. Its economy that has been growing, that has been the fastest growing in the last decade, will just die by like that. And just so much violence. And also they are wasting their resource right now. As we may know, we have problems already going on with Egypt, and we are consuming all the resource. So I just hope for the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right. I have noticed that too. During the parliament speech, he was totally, he doesn't even look a prime minister. He's just one hater guy in front of people that doesn't understand what's going on. They don't represent Ethiopian. The parliament people does not represent Ethiopian at all. They are always, he's a hater. He was delivering a hate speech in front of Ethiopian people. He already, I think he doesn't have no respect anymore for his own people. And he said that because he had a good relationship with Eritrean president, he saved him, and then he invited him. He actually agreed that the Eritrean government was involved in that
Yeah.
war. In the war, this is a war crime. He already said that in Hamarik that if I didn't have a good relationship with Eritrean government, you guys would know what's going to happen. That means he agreed that the Eritrean government, well, already we have a captured Eritrean soldiers
Yeah.
in Akwa and in other places that they they mentioned they were surrendered in that war. Anyways, you have mentioned that exactly what he's. So, are you proud of the Tigray people? What's your message? Tigray people has been tolerating all these issues for the last not only three weeks, but the war begins when Abiy came to the power. Anyways, the road was blocked for several years, and then there is no. So it's been almost 3 years that Tigray people is on this uh, uh, Abiy's war crime. What would you? What do you have a message for Tigray people?
As a humanitarian, I will not really uh, stand for war. I would not want war, and nobody should go to war, and everything should be solved by peace and dialogue. But what Ethiopian government has been doing is actually attacking particular group, and the group has to respond in one way. So it's just a matter of win-win situation, and it looks like it's just repeating itself again and again. And I hope that all Tagaros are proud of who they are, because they are using all these foreign powers just for us, because we are the people. We are united than any other Ethiopians. I can say that we are very united. We are together, and we are always looking after each other, whatever. And I think I am very proud of all Tegaros around the world for standing with Tigray, taking actions such as spreading through the social media, talking to their leaders. I think I have seen a lot of them reach out to me, and I never wanted to be involved in this thing, but I think this really moved me a lot. This is actually an attack on me, so I felt it was actually an attack on me. I was more focused into American politics, and I was involved into the American politics. But all of a sudden now I shifted, because this is a system. I have studied history. I understand history very well. That this is the way they used to oppress particular ethnic. You remember what happened 25 to 30 years ago in Rwanda. This is the
Yeah,
same thing that happened. So
yeah,
using the same tactics and destroying lives. And if we ignore this fact, and you may be aware, the World Genocide Watch placed Ethiopia in number 9 out of 10. And this is very dangerous situation, because they started spreading this hate message, which right now has spread even more worse than it used to be before. And this government also want to take out the ability of the states to govern themselves by appointing leaders all over the country. So, which this is not fair. This is actually, I don't know how the constitution of Ethiopia actually works, but this is a very bad system. A federal government has no power over the region, but it looks like it is gaining more power. It is gaining more power, and it's devastating. I really feel very bad about the situation, but I'm very proud of all Tagaros for standing for what they believe in and for fighting for themselves. They did not, the Tagaros did not leave their region and went to attack them. They came to the state. So, as you may know, if somebody come to my house to attack me, I have to attack back or respond. That's how it works. So I am very proud of the Tagaros of what they have done, and I know they will prevail. Definitely, they will.
right. So, well, I wouldn't forget about the Eritrean community. The Eritrean community has been with us the whole time since the
Yeah,
war started. Even
yeah,
though Abiy Ahmed is on denial, he thinks the relationship between Ethiopia and Eritrea is good because of his effort. But there is no relationship with Ethiopian and Eritrean people in between because of the Abiy administration or Isaiah's administration. The people are already engaged and they are aware what's going on. So what do you say about the Eritrean diaspora and the Eritrean people in Eritrea and also the Eritrean government?
Yeah, I would say that let us stand together. I have had a lot of letters and messages and phone calls from Eritrean Americans and Eritreans from Sweden, Australia, Canada, UK. I have heard from many of them over the couple of days. And I think they are so much standing with the Tigray people and the well-being of Ethiopia in general. And I think they have done a very great job for, they are free. That's why they are standing with us. So I think the same happens with the with the Eritreans who are in Eritrea. They just don't have that voice, as you may know. If you say anything against the government, you will likely end up in jail so quick, even over the 24 hours period of time. So that's why I think the Eritrean who are abroad and out of Eritrea are very supportive of the Tigray people, because we are brothers and sisters. We are brothers and sisters. We are together 25, 30 years ago. It's just the violence happened and we missed. I think we are together and I am very proud of them, and let us keep doing this. And Eritrea needs a revolution to take out this dictator and fascist that is trying to dictate what they should do and not. And actually, I'm very worried also about the Eritrean refugees that are in Ethiopia, the Tigray region right now. There might be an abduction of all those and being sent to Eritrea again against their will. And the international law actually protects every refugee not forcibly returned to their country of origin, where he or she face threat or violence. So I think this is actually, Abiy is completely destroying the Ethiopia's values and our heritage. It's just destroying the law. Totally get it. He's trying to be above the law, which the law protects the refugees as well. He's allowing the country where they flee from intervene in internal affairs in a system where this military can just abduct these refugees, and it's a very serious thing. We should really worry about it. Hundreds of thousands of Eritrean refugees live in Tigray region, and they need safety right now, which we don't know how they are doing. We don't know how they are. There's no information about them. And UNHCR stuff, I don't know what is going on over there right now. There's no humanitarian access right now. There's so much going on, and we don't really have the information. And maybe worse might have been happening already. We are really worried. And I am very proud of our Eritrean. Keep standing together, fight for your country as well, so that these fascist leaders who are trying to control your life, trying to deny your rights. Actually, in Eritrea, I heard that there's no other party allowed in the country except the party of Isaias Afwerki. So this is not a country where democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of free political preference, that all doesn't exist. So I would tell Eritreans to take action against this government as well. It's the people. Without the people, there will be no government. So I think it's all is up to the people.
Yes. Thank you, Chernet. We have. So if you have any other messages for Turan, young Tagaros, the diasporas, please say something about that too.
I would say we are in a 21st century where social media is a huge thing in this time of ours. There's a way we can really take part in this movement that we started for the well-being of Tigrayans and also other Ethiopians that are oppressed right now. I am very sure that the Tigray people want the best for all Ethiopians. They want unity and peace and stability. We don't preach tribalism in Ethiopia. Tigray leaders never preached tribalism. I think they have always led the country. As you may know, I think the Ethiopian economy has raised so strongly during the TPLF time. And I think it's something we have to look back instead of leaving this blame game aside and focus on what is best. So I think young people have the power to change the world. We should be part in this. There's Twitter storming of your leaders, call on UN, and just make your voice heard. There's always a way you can make your voice heard. As well, you can join me in this campaign to advocate for your Tigray region to the Congress and the Senate. You can join me in this campaign, writing letters, calling, and just joining me in this campaign, and it will be it will leave a life-saving impact in the next months or even weeks. So I think this campaign is very strong. I would ask them to write letters, call your legislators, your leaders, your parliament, from whatever you are, you have a leader, and that leader can actually take action. And by the way, I'm proud of all Tagaros that are in America. They have played their part. I think we have received over 1,000 letters to the Congress in just few months, and that's amazing. That's it's a goal that I set up, that I have to get these letters in order to deliver to the Congress and talk to them about this issue. And I think they have done a great job. And I will tell them, keep doing it as I go travel from place to place, talk to different representatives, and just ask them to be involved. Just keep doing it, and I'm very proud of you all. Thank you.
Great. We're proud of you too. You are the best. You are amazing. You are young, but you are already matured, and you are our advocacy. Your advocacy is very touching. And thank you so much. And
Thank,
I do really appreciate what you do for being responsible, for
thank you.
being the advocacy of your own people. That's what starts as a leadership. Leadership starts to advocate, to be aware of yourself, to be aware of your surroundings, to be aware of your people, and to advocate your own people. That's how you can be a political leader. And you are a political science student. If you wanted to be a political leader, your start is very appreciated. And I
Thank you.
do appreciate that from Cyber Power of Tigray.
Thank you
Uh,
so much for having me, Mesfin. Thank you.
and finally, before we ended up our conversation here, if you do have something that to say that we didn't mention about, I'll give you a couple of minutes. And thank you so much.
Yeah. I don't have that much to say. I'm just very grateful for having me here, and we will keep in touch as we keep, the progress. I will keep on informing you of the progress that will be happening within the Congress, and they have to discuss these things to come up with a plan to cease this fire. I think we need an intervention right now, not later, not tomorrow. We need right now, and we should really
Actually,
stand.
I was going to say that too. Sorry to interrupt you. At the same time, there are a lot of slots, I mean, tools, and both the social media, especially ISAT and other very flammable medias. And also that we say that we need the intervention. We really need UN intervention between. Right now, I don't think it's Tigray is any more protected by Ethiopian government. So if you have to say something in those two things, I will give you a couple of minutes.
And I think actually most of the countries, due to the lack of information, they could not really say much, because I think information is very important to use against the particular leaders. But the information that are coming out of Ethiopia are very sensitive. They are not well verified information, most of them. And some might be, and I can believe, you know, I can believe what comes out of the refugees themselves. That is what I would believe, as per se. I will believe what they say, because they flee for a reason. They could not leave their country, their precious village or their precious town, for Sudan, a desert, a country where they don't even have a food to eat. So I don't think they choose to do that. So there might be a reason they are fleeing. And I have heard ladies, like, they are separated from their husbands, children separated from their fathers and mothers. I think it's very sad that the United Nations is also not really doing that much right now. We need more intervention that is very serious and ceasefire, because there is a law that protects children across it. There's this called right the right of the child, the Convention Right of the Child, which was drafted in Poland in 1975, which it became law just a couple of years ago. That law protects children across the globe, which Ethiopia is part of that treaty, and that they signed that treaty. So they are violating that. And I think the UN has to take this matter serious. 40,000, 45,000 people are not just people. This is a whole humanitarian crisis, and we have to really be more serious about this matter. And yeah, United Nations should be involved more. That's why I'm planning to go to New York in the next 2 weeks. And I think I want to make sure that the United Nations is playing its roles I will try to do that this come next 2 weeks.
Great.
So we should stand, keep tweeting, keep writing messages, contacting the United Nations, and keep, I think, pressuring the agencies is more important. There is a way that the people, because those medias, they are pressuring. The same you just mentioned, those medias you just mentioned. I'm not familiar with them that much because I don't watch those medias, because they are more about ethnic division. Most of themselves, like our ethnic is more superior than the other. I don't really watch those kind of things because I think all human are equal. So there's these things that are really very affecting people's idea, which in Ethiopia, as you know, everybody believe this propaganda that says law enforcement. So even my close friends, when I ask them about this matter, they tell me it's a law enforcement operation, which in my 40,000, 45,000 people fleeing their home, that doesn't sound like a law enforcement operation. It looks like violating human rights, actually. So UN should be involved. This is actually more of a UN, and the United States can play its role. I think United States have played so much role into so many countries' affair, and in this they should, because we have partnered with them since 1903. So we need to partner again. They have to pressure the government either to step down or to bring dialogue to the table and bring equal government to the
Exactly.
Tigray people and both Ethiopian people. We don't want too much government. We want the people to rule the country, not the government that is too oppressive, like Abiy Ahmed.
He's not even elected by people, and
He
his
doesn't have
term
the
is
mandate. Yeah, he doesn't have the mandate right now.
he doesn't have no mandate. His term is over. He needs to give the power to the people of Ethiopia. Oh, I appreciated a lot, Charnet Harifu, a political science student, for being with Cyber Power of Tigray. I do appreciate your stay.
Thank you so
And
much
as
for
you
having me.
say, we will have more time with you some other time. For
Thank you.
today, I do appreciate for being with us for the interview. Thank you so much, and
Thank
you
you
have a
so much,
wonderful evening.
Efren. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a